Everyone in here consumes some form of media every day, from social media to TV to playing a video game or anything like that. Raise your hand if you have watched a movie, played a game, read a magazine or an article, and it has impacted you, that gave you a whole new outlook on life. Okay. Today I'll be talking about how the influence of media and technology causes a major impact on people's lives. Recently there has been a rise of many different acts of violence across the U.S. and the world, and one of the many reasons for these actions is the negative display of media that people consume on a regular basis. Anderson said, research on violent television and video games and music reveals unequivocal evidence that media violence increases the likelihood of aggressive and violent behavior in both immediate and long-term contexts. So researchers have looked into this and basically understand that there's a correlation between the two. I like to believe that majority of people do not come into the world with hate in their blood, but when we consume a good amount of negative media, it can alter our views on life. According to Anderson, again, studies have shown converging evidence linking frequent exposure to violent media with aggression can occur later on in life. And that can be, two of the most common ones are physical assault and spouse abuse. And I personally witnessed it through one of my close friends who actually had an incident with his previous girlfriend because he witnessed that from his parents growing up. So my purpose is not to convince people to avoid violent media, but rather consume a moderate amount of it, or just be careful what you're taking in, because I feel like it will have an effect somehow. Christina Alliance said that rapid technological advances allow today's consumers, including children, to easily access media content that some critics depict as unprecedented levels of blood and gore and moral depravity. Lyons' articles was published in 2014. I'm 22, and I feel like growing up, I had just the same amount of easy access to violent media as any kid today. But the thing is, I feel like nowadays children have an unlimited amount of access because of the phones, iPads, tablets, all that stuff, the different technologies that they have. So it gives them the freedom to really just roam through the internet faster than we could have done probably when we were younger. And one thing that really stood out to me was when Lyons talked about the mass shootings of such as 2012 Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre, which reportedly had prompted lawmakers, parents, researchers, and educators to contribute. Basically said it contributed to behavior among youth. I know I've discussed violent reactions through the negative influence, but I want to discuss social problems from it as well. A problem that our generation had, people born from 1990 to 1999, based off of Clement, is that we prefer texting. Well, a research study said that we prefer texting above other forms of communications, and social media was second. And I was curious to what that showed me, and basically it showed me that face-to-face communication is no longer the same. They also said that we as young people will be in a room together hanging out, but we won't necessarily be speaking, but in our own zone, in our own world, on our phones and stuff like that. And it just shows to me another pure example of how technology and media can be a deficit to the youth growing up. And I just want to say again that the negative influence of media will have a serious impact on our youth, and we're starting to see it more as we're going through society through not just the violent stuff, but through cyberbullying and extreme acts of violence and lack of communication skills. So I just wanted to inform you all about this so that we can make a change with ourselves so that we can influence the youth.